look, guys, I know that some of you, Murat, for example, know more more about some of the questions I'm going to ask. If you know the answer right away and you see that other people don't, just hold it for a second, okay? Let's try to help the people who don't know these answers to think a little bit. I mean, of course, not saying anything against. It's all great that you know this. I just want to help those who maybe don't know this so well. Guys online, please participate with us and help us if you know. So I'm going to start like this. Look, I'm going to open a compressor. I'm going to open a compressor, audio effect, wait, plugins, I'm going to open HComp. So this is a compressor. And I want to know something about this, and I want you to help me to answer that question. I'm going to start with an easy question. So let me just load here a clip. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, wait. Yeah, a clip. Let me just load this here. It's not an audio clip, it's a MIDI clip. And let's drop this thing there. So this compressor here. So I want to know. Okay. I want to know something. How much compression is happening right now? Can you switch off? No, we cannot switch off the lights. How much compression is happening now? I think that today we are going to learn a lot. It's going to be really practical, and we're going to learn a lot. So, how much compression is happening there? How can I know that? Around 6? That's exactly what I want to do. I want to have these conversations. Yes, those are dBs. What you're seeing there are dBs. And it's a VU meter, so it's reading dB VU. So, perhaps it could be. I don't know. I don't know yet. Anybody else has any other, I guess? Can I know how much compression is happening with that screen? So this is exact. Do you know that answer, Bratan? That's exactly what I wanted to discuss with you today. So you see, like, I noticed that many people don't know what this is, and this is extremely important. And so, wait, something is happening here. Just a moment. Let me see what's up. Who wants to talk there? Leo, we can hear Ableton. Ableton is muted, guys. I don't have sound. I did it on purpose. We just don't care about the sound. We're just looking at something. So I noticed that many people don't know this, and that's what I wanted to correct in this lecture. And it's not only about this compressor. Let me open another one. I'm going to open the Neve. Neve 33609. Wait. Let me see if this is a good case. Just thinking one moment. Give me a second to think if this is a good case. No, this is not. Okay, this is another case, but we will see it individually. Let me think about another one that will have the same. I think like the API 2500. we're hyper compressing these drums. Like, I mean, I have 3 compressors there working at the same time. Wait, let's see. I actually loaded 4. So, yeah. Now, okay, this is what I wanted to discuss. You see, you cannot know how much compression is happening now because right now you are monitoring the input. And you can also monitor the output. And you can also monitor the amount of gain reduction. So, until we were not in that menu, we could not know what was the gain reduction. We were seeing the input of it in VUs. So an important thing, and you see the same here is happening here. Like, you see this device and you have gear, which could be like Gonzalo Rodriguez, or it could be also gain reduction, one of the two. But I think it's not Gonzalo Rodriguez. I think it's gain reduction. And you have output and you have input. And so, in order for you to know with this type of compressors how much compression is happening, you need to always go to the GR function there. And then the other thing that needs to happen, that you need to understand, is that, okay, let's go 1 second to the Ableton compressor. We'll discuss this guy too. Let's go 1 second to the Ableton compressor. which is the one that you guys are mostly used to. Audio effects, yeah. Let me see, compressor. Let's go to Ableton compressor and see. Like, the other thing that I want us to understand is I'm gonna do some compression here, and then you guys will tell me something about it. I will ask a question. So, how much compression is happening now? Nothing. It's happening nothing. Okay, great. And now, how can I know how much compression in decibels is happening right now? Exactly, the little yellow information there. So that's really cool. And what do I need to do when I see that little yellow thing? Do I need to do something when I see that number? Correct. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. So you see that value, and you know that you're, because I don't want you guys to get to be using makeup gain all the time. Like, I want you to get used to use a compressor how it's supposed to be used. It's just like, I mean, you compensate for the amount of compression that is happening. So if you have -6 decibels of compression, you see, you will see that you will have like 6, 3, and 4. So you can find some sort of middle ground there, like 4. You will need to boost that signal 4 decibels, something like that, to compensate for the amount of compression that is happening. Because what you don't want the compressor to be doing is to make things either quieter or louder just by changing the gain. You want the dynamic range of it to change, and then the perception to change. So now, that's cool. That's about this particular compressor. And then in this particular case, we know that the gain reduction is 6 decibels, and so we return 6 decibels here. Okay, so that's one of the really simple things that I wanted to discuss. Now let's see another case. For example, the API, okay, that's really clear. And in the NIV, in this one, you see in here, in this unit, you can only meter the gain reduction, if I'm not mistaken. You cannot change what he's metering. He's only showing you gain reduction. So always you need to read those things and kind of understand what is going on. Yeah, you cannot change it. So you see he's telling you gain reduction 1 and 2. Why does it says 1 and 2? Because it's a stereo compressor, exactly. And so a stereo compressor is different than a mono compressor because they need to, I mean, they kind of need to be triggered at the same time, so it doesn't sound weird when you have like a left or right, sort of like different compression. Imagine like left and right will sound differently. So my main goal today is to discuss things about plugins. What plugins do you use the most? Like only Ableton stock, or do you have some? You went to the internet and bought some plugins, right? Like a lot of them. Only for instruments. Valhalla. You use Valhalla Reverb a lot. The Abbey Road emulator in Waves. So, and you use FabFilter. I've seen that you use FabFilter a lot. FabFilter? Okay. Now, okay. I think that there is some use in this lecture because I want to kind of talk a little bit about plugins, and then I want to put you to do this thing of manipulating a signal with the detector of the threshold. But I think there is some usefulness in discussing with you what plugins I use and some particularities of why I use those plugins, and this can give you an idea which plugins, so you can use them. Exactly. This can give you some idea of which plugins you could download and etc. I remind you that not so long ago, I made. I wonder if it's easily found.
So we're supposed to download a kick and 2 overheads.
A kick and an overhead from any of those tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will give you an exercise in a couple of minutes about that. Okay.
Okay.
So, I don't know if you have seen this list. Have you seen this list before? A long time ago, I made like a little video where I summarize all the plugins I use, and I was discussing this with a student from Foundation, from the first year, Anton. Yeah, and then I sent it out, but I don't remember if I sent it out to everybody. Anyways, I'm not like a big plugin guy. I'm not so much particularly into audio technology. I like it, but I'm not like a freak about this. I'm gonna put here to Pensionierov, sorry, Leo's plugin list and then to the Songwriters Coven. and to the starosti tretий год. I'm going to put this to all of you guys, so you have this list of plugins. They're available. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about it. Привет, Sebastian. So let's have a look at this list here and see what's in there. So, okay, look, EQs and channel strips. So when I say channel strip, can somebody tell me that it's not my engineers? Let's exclude the engineers from this conversation. What is a channel strip? Can somebody tell me? No idea? Okay. So think about that word. Like you have, what does the word strip means? Do you know? It's not like strip, like get naked. Palasa? La? Or like a line or something like a line. And then it's like, and you have the word there, channel. So it's like, it's not channel like the Calon or something like that. It's not like a TV channel. I mean, it's like the channel of a console, the strip of the channel of a console. I mean, I know that it's not so obvious when you think about it. Like if I search here like HSL channel console hardware, you will see something here. I have discussed this in the past with you guys. I know I don't mean to be boring, but let's have a look at some little thingy here. I want to see it like the actual hardware, so you can feel it better. Wait, I have a photo in my presentations. Maybe I will get there faster if I write here channel strip. Yeah, I think that we will get there through this image. It would be easier. Ta 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 ta. I remember that photo, and it's gonna come soon. No, this is not the one. Wait, channel strip. Geek talk. Types of filters and equalization. Introduction. No. Wait. Console. Yeah, I think here it's gonna be. I want us to have like some confidence in some terminology that it's kind of obvious, but sometimes people don't know. Yeah, there you go. Like, so that's a channel strip. And what is happening there? Well, you see, look, you see this thing, and you see, like, it's that vertical thing. So you remove this screw from here and take out this whole piece, and it looks like that when you take it out. And so what do you have? You have a whole bunch of audio processes cramped into one place. And so what do you have? You have a module, and usually these things have a little line here, and that line separates the different parts of the module. So you have a preamp module, you have a EQ, a compressor. So every time you hear the word channel strip in your life, it always means a whole bunch of processes grouped into one plugin or one system or one console or whatever. So if you actually search in the word here, channel strip, you will see this is in the audio effects of let me see it more in plugins. Let me see channel strip. You will see that a whole bunch of them appear. Yesterday, I was explaining something to Viera. I think it was to Viera. To you, it was explaining the transformers. It was to you that I was explaining this. Was it to you? I think it was to you. Well, I don't remember if it was to you, but we're talking about the electricity inside the compressor. No, it was to Roma. I was explaining this to Roma.
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah, I was saying to Roma. I mean, I want you to see it more from the point of view of hardware. You know, it's like you want a multifunctional tool. A channel strip is a multifunctional tool, and channel strips always have EQ, compressor, gate, and fader, kind of. Like that's what they usually have. And so you see, like when you look at my plugins list, the first thing you see is my EQP one that I love. It's this equalizer that I have discussed with you a lot. And so EQP one. And so this is a passive EQ, and yeah, you know, I have discussed this guy a lot. Now, do we know how to use this guy? Any of you knows how to use this guy? Nasser, do you know how to use this guy? If I ask you, like, I want to cut the, I want to cut 20,000 hertz. Like, what would you do there? It's okay. It's not an evaluation. Just think about it. I want to cut 20,000 hertz. Okay, let me help you there a bit. Let's read this. You see, we have boost and attenuation. Attenuation means to make something quieter. Like, for example, if I start screaming right now, you could tell me, it will be very weird, but you could tell me, can you please attenuate the level of your voice? And I'm like, okay, you will never speak like that, but but like some guitar amps have something called attenuator, actually, to make them quieter, like if you need to. So attenuate means to make quieter. Let me see how it translates to Russian. Do you know DeepL, by the way? It's really great translator. It's like the best one I've seen around that is not ChatGPT is this one. It's really good. By the way, yesterday, hey, yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty crazy. Yeah, but that's not what I wanted to tell you. I got ChatGPT like to make a mistake like several times. Like, wait, like this was so fucking. I was like, look, you see, I sent this to Anton like at 2 a.m. in the morning yesterday. So I was in the studio mixing this. Yeah, remember yesterday when we met? I arrived from the Dolby Surround place, and I have the following problem. I wrote all the songs in different sessions, like the 7 episodes of the movie. I wrote them in separate individual sessions. And yesterday, the head engineer of the place, he was like, "Oh, you wrote in separate sessions? No, we need you to compile all of this in one session." And I was like, "Oh." And the problem in Pro Tools is that when you import session data from another song, it overwrites the tempo map. And so I'm trying to find a way to import session data of 7 different songs into Pro Tools without losing the tempo map of any of them. And so I went to ask ChatGPT about this. And look, I was like, I'm working in Pro Tools Studio, blah, blah, blah. I imagine the following situation. I'm working in song 1. It has a particular tempo map. And look at how I describe it to it. But this is how you should talk to ChatGPT, by the way, at this level of detail. Like, I'm working in song 1 that has a particular tempo map. Let's call that TMA. This is me talking to the guy, to the system. I have another song called Song 2 that also has a particular tempo map. Let's call that TMB. I want to import the session data from song 2 into the project of song 1, including the tempo map TMB, but in a way that does not override the tempo map of the song 1 TMA. How can I achieve that? Oh, yeah, sure. Go and do this. And I was like, are you sure there is an export tempo map in Pro Tools? Oh, I apologize. You're correct. Pro Tools does not have an option. So he wrote me all the story about how to do it. And he was like, select the function, import tempo. And I was like, that function doesn't exist. And then I went to the next question, like, please compute another workaround that does not involve... because then the ChatGPT told me like, oh, no, look, this is easy. Just like import the session 2, the song 2, and then manually create the tempo map again. And you know, these tempo maps I'm making have like, I cannot manually recreate them. And so I was like, please compute another workaround that does not involve creating a tempo map for song 2 manually. This is not possible in the real life situation I find myself in. And ChatGPT was like, sure, just do it. And it started inventing some functions that don't exist. Like, this is not correct. I know Pro Tools quite well, and I don't see these functions. Please review your response. And it happened 6 times. Like, he just didn't... He was kind of like getting information from manuals, like maybe from Logic, and thinking that it was a Pro Tools manual, and was telling me functions that I don't see. Just so you know, like, I mean... we kind of like push it to the boundaries of its knowledge. But anyways, I started telling you this because... Huh? Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. It was just funny that it happened. I remember there was a reason why I got here, but anyways. The translator. I said it's better than ChatGPT, and then I remembered. Great, thank you so much. So I wanted to translate the word attenuation. Oh, you're right. It's so let's go. Or well, let's see it in Chinese, by the way. Oh, wow, it's so short. Okay, so let's see it in Russian. So attenuation translates Satuhanie. It's correct, or it's bad translation? Attenuacja. What? That the word. Ah, nobody says that. Yeah. Okay. So okay, I was asking, how do you cut 20K? So you see, like if I do this, I will cut something, but here it's telling you which frequency. You see? So I cut 20K by selecting 20K. Here you see attenuation select. Now you need to, I mean, these guys sometimes are a bit mysterious in the sense that this attenuation select only applies to the high end. The low end is connected to this frequency. So the attenuation in the low end, it's like if you're in 100, you are boosting and attenuating at the same time. And that's really great because there is a crossover region there that makes things richer. That's why they have this function. And then you can change the bandwidth. We all know what the bandwidth is like. Okay, so that's an EQ. That's really great. Then I have other sets of EQs there that, I mean, I'm not going to discuss all of them right now. The next thing that I have there that you need to know is, obviously, because you mentioned that some of you use FabFilter, is Pro Q3. Like, this plugin in particular is not optional. Like, everybody needs to have this. Who has used this plugin before? I mean, a lot of you have. Who has not used this plugin ever? You guys have never used it or have? Have never used it. Like some group here, you have used it? You use it a lot, all the time? Yeah. So the Pro Q3, I mean, it's Pro Q. It does. I don't have it in. For some reason, it's not installed in Ableton, Gospit. Yeah. So yeah, it's in Pro Tools or in Ableton, and I don't have my iLok. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'll skip that for now. But it's really not optional plugin. The Pro Q3. Yeah. Because the reason why it's not optional is because it becomes a dynamic equalizer immediately. I mean, it can be a dynamic equalizer or a static equalizer, like, and that's really powerful. Like when you're using it, you see, like, imagine I want to cut 200 hertz, but if you move this krutilka, it becomes active, and so it has a threshold, and then you can change the threshold, and then it doesn't cut always. It cuts only when a signal crosses a threshold. So that's really great. Let me see from here. What else can I discuss? Yesterday, remember that I showed you a work that Roma did. I was quite excited about it because the reason why I was excited about it is because the plugins that he used. And he used something. He used, Roma, what's the name of that plugin? Softtube. It was Softtube. It's not in my list, but anyways, it's really good. Amp room, bass is Softtube. Maybe it's not even here. Maybe it's not here. I don't know. Let's see. Softtube. Well, I know an equivalent to it. Vocoder. Yeah, I don't see it here. VST3. Arturia. Yeah, Solina. So I don't see it here. Let me open. Let me see waves. 1 second. And in waves there is a EQ called, I always forget the name. REQ. Let me see if, no, it's not REQ. It's not REQ. Sorry. I have it here written. It's I have REQ, SSL, Kramer, Schweppes. Niet. Just a moment. What was the name of this guy? It's, I always forget. VEQ. Sorry, that's the one. And this is here is where I want to ask you some questions. Okay, so we have this guy there. How can let's try to, I would like you guys to help me to cut 470 hertz. How would you do that? I want to make less 470 hertz. Murat, you can participate. I'm sorry, I'm just, because I was, and same for the engineers. I mean, all the engineers can participate. How can I reduce 470 hertz here? Yeah, Gleb, tell me. There is a krutilka. You see. So look at this off. So what this telling me is that this, what is this called? How would you call this thing? We discussed that a lot. Like, how would you call this? Bands, exactly. So you see, like we have band 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what that guy is telling you is like band 1 is off, band 2 is off, band 3 is off. So the correct way to say it is like I will engage band 3 all the way up to 470, and then I will perform a cut. You see, it's telling you a plus and a minus here, and I will perform a cut. And if you see, like, if you get used to that, and then you can see, you can, like, if you were in an EQ, let's say that I open here, give me a second, let's say that I open here, I want to go to the stock plugins, and I here open EQ 8, like, imagine 470, I want to make a cut. What you're doing there is something kind of like this. Let me go here to 470, and then I'm gonna make a cut, and that cut was to how many decibels? You see, you can see it there. Look, 13.8 decibels if you do double click it. So that cut was 13.8 decibels. I just want you to understand something. Minus 13.8. So if I do this, and then there is a button here that says high Q. So, I mean, this guy has a certain Q. You cannot change that Q. It just comes by default with a Q. What's that Q? You need to, how do you know those things? You need to search the manuals to know that. So it's like, again, I forgot the name of it. It's VEQ4, VEQ4 manual. Or let's say Q factor right away. Now I don't trust ChatGPT anymore. I used to. Why is the Q factor? Nah. BEQ manual. Let's see. I'm just curious to see if we can not so hardly find. So we get used to how to find that information. Q factor or yeah. Well, he's gonna search all the letter Qs there. So let me see. We can also search there the word. The exact word I want to search is bandwidth. No, it couldn't find it. Okay, Q factor, no, not appears. Well, I'm just gonna go through all the Qs. I mean, it's gonna be, I think, faster. No. Aha, it's writing it like, calling it like Q bell. So let's see if we can get to the value. I'm just trying to see if we can get to the value, because, I mean, it's cool that we know how to find this information. At the moment, it's not easy. I mean, I'm sure we'll find it if we search a bit more calmly, but I just don't want to spend all the lecture searching for that. Yeah, whatever. I mean, this information it exists, but we need to find it. Okay, the fact is that it has a fixed Q. I'm not gonna go through this right now. And when I hit high Q, I'm just doing something kind of like this. I'm making it more narrow. So when you see something like this, like I want to make a cut and I want to make it more narrow. Now, this is gonna be cool. Give me a bit of attention for this. I can explain you now a bit better. This is what I explained to Roma yesterday. I think it was useful. I can explain you now a bit better. What is the argument on using that EQ? And I would ask you, why should I use this EQ instead of like the Pro Q3? Because it colors. Now, how does it colors? That I know, but why? Why it colors it? I understand, but I want to explain you what is happening inside that device that produces the coloring. That's kind of what I want to explain you. Do you have any ideas? Yes, and now yesterday I explained something to Roma that I have never explained to you in such a well-articulated way, and it's going to make you understand this. Look, if I search the word Neve transformer, I'm not going to get to a robot, which is boring, but I'm not going to get to a robot, but I'm going to get to this thing, and I'll explain you what that thing is doing. Look at this. This is a great case. Wait. Look at this. This is a great case. So this is a Neve 1073, I think, or 1171 or 1073. I don't know right now. And look, think about something. Like when you hear a guitar amplifier, like you are producing enough electrical energy to move a piece of plastic and to make you potentially deaf, right? So it means that you're producing quite a lot of energy there. Now, the system inside this, imagine, like, what would be the output value of that voltage? I don't know. It would be quite a large number. a larger number than what you need inside the device. Like the device is like equalizing and doing something. So inside the device, there's a certain amount of electrical power running, right? You agree? And that electrical power, it's not the same as the electrical power that you need to send to the speakers, because it will be a waste for the system to be operating at that level all the time. Does that make sense? Do you feel this? So there is a device called the transformer that transforms the level of current from a very weak current that is running inside the device to a more powerful current that is going out to the real world. You see what I mean? Like, imagine this. Like, I have a very good metaphor to tell you. If you would measure the electrical current that your brain is using to operate, it's a super small amount. But you could punch somebody in the face and break that face, you know? So there is a difference of power in between what your brain is using to operate and the amount of energy you can put out into the world. So that mediation process is the transformer of your body that is transforming energy from what you eat into power, you know? So think about the transformer of Slava is a different transformer than my transformer. I mean, you eat a piece of fish, and then you can punch somebody harder in the face than me, because whatever, you transform energy in a different way than I do. Analog gear colors, because of that moment when there is a jump, that's not the only reason, but that's the main reason. When it's a moment when the electricity is transformed from a certain level to a level that can be used in the outer world. Does that make sense? Sure. No worries. Like, imagine right now that I want to power a synth with my brain, and I just connect a cable to my brain, and if I will connect a cable from my brain to a synth, it will not produce enough power to move the synth, because my brain operates at a lower level of power. And so there is something called a step up and a step down transformer. Step up is a transformer that will grab a current and it will make it louder. It will make it more powerful. And how do you achieve that, actually? You grab a piece of metal and you grab a wire. Actually, you grab a magneto, you grab a wire, you surround that magneto with a wire in a spiral form, and then when you run the current, it's kind of like a, you know, when you go to a water park and you go through these tubes, like the longer you're in the tube, the faster you become, right? The same is happening to electricity. It's like it's run through, you see, like it's like a pack thing, and you see that there are like a lot of wires in there. It's like you're running in electricity like, whoa, into a spiral, and the longer it is in that spiral, so the more you can pack in there wires, the more powerful the transformer will be. Now, when you have, look at how complicated this is. When you have two wires next to each other and are not properly isolated, they're not properly isolated, they start spilling information in between themselves. So then you can have something called feedback. You see, like the wires are so close inside the transformer that there is like conversation between those two wires that are carrying the same signal. Do you understand that? Do you feel it? Kind of. I mean, imagine that, because in order for you to visualize this, you will have to understand that electricity is like a phenomenon that occurs in a long area. I mean, it's not like a, I wanted to use this example. Imagine that you have these tubes where you throw yourself in the water park and you have a speaker with you. And then, like, imagine this is a spiral, right? So this is the segment A of the spiral, the segment B of the spiral, the segment D of the spiral. Like a person in the segment B of the spiral, if you were to carry a speaker, can hear the output of your speaker. Do you feel that? I'm saying a wrong metaphor. I'm sure I'm saying a wrong metaphor. Короче, сосцветные коммутации, если они не хорошо изолированы, они начинают транспортировать информацию между друг другом. И если трансформер не хороший, представляй, типа, этот процесс начинается, провод начинается покрутить, и представляю, у тебя есть первый поворот, the first turn of the cable, right? And then you start the second turn of the cable. So there is a moment when there is first and second turn of the cable are next to each other. You don't want those cables to transmit information between them, because it will artificially amplify the signal. So that's why these things are expensive. That's exactly why and that's why the cheap one sounds bad. And there is no way around this. It's just a physical thing. Electrons want to be together. Well, they want to repel each other. But I mean, in this case, they crosstalk and they manipulate the signals each them. So when you make this jump from a smaller level of current to a bigger level of current, you change the signal. And that's what this guy color. And when you do emulation of an equalizer like the one I just showed you, what you actually do in real life is like you run 1 kilohertz across this system, and then you measure how it behaves at each one of those steps. And so you're running the 1 kilohertz signal through the transformer. If you remember correctly, when we started the first lecture of mixing and mastering, I showed you a video. I showed you 2 videos. One was Joe Barresi talking about mixing drums, and the other one was the mastering engineer of Billie Eilish. Remember that? And in that video, the mastering engineer of Billie Eilish tells you like, yeah, I run this signal through a compressor, and in that moment, I told you, I paid attention to you something, and he says like, and I don't even use a compressor. I only run the signal through the transformers. And now you know what that means. Like, what that means is like you're putting the signal inside the system, and then the signal becomes smaller because the system operated at a smaller signal, and then it becomes transformed into a higher level output. And when that transformation happens, the signal gets colored, which means that it's a bad process of transformation. It's just, it sounds cool. It's a bad process, I mean, because it's not linear. Like, supposedly it should be like you put in chocolate and you get out chocolate, but you put in chocolate and you get out like chocolate and grusha. And it's like, okay, like, why? But well, it's just how it is, and we like that. So that's how it is. So that's an argument for using this equalizer. Okay, so we have an equalizer like this, and that's something cool about it. Now, I guess I'm
sorry, I have a question about this. There was, can you take it back, this plugin?
Yes. I'll go back here. Yes.
NIF. Yeah. There is like 2 buttons, yeah, EQ and phase. What does it mean, phase again?
Let me search this. I'm honest. I don't know right now. I mean, I'm gonna search it in the manual because we have it open here, and let's find out. It's a phase reverse. It's literally just reverse a phase. Yeah, many EQs have that. There is a very famous movie called like Everything You Wanted to Know About Sex But Never Dared to Ask. It's a movie by Woody Allen. So let's open this movie here. Everything You Wanted to Ask About Plugins But Never Dared to Ask. Do you want to ask something? I mean, do you have any questions, like something that comes to your mind? Like, I always wanted to see. No, maybe it doesn't come to your mind right now. If it does, shoot. Okay, I want us to clear some myths about equalizers and compressors and everything. So what's up here? I have a question, and it's coming from Grisha.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Like, do you use isotope plugins like this plugin that does everything, like Nectar, you know?
Yes. I use them a lot. You want to talk about them? I would love to.
Yeah, just I'm thinking about them, but they're a bit pricey.
Yeah. Look. Okay, it's a great question, and it's I mean, the movie I'm mixing right now, I'm mixing it all in isotope plugins, 100%. And the reason is not because I love it so much, it's because I need this session to be able to open in my house. So I chose plugins that they have in that studio and in my house. Because if I was going to use all their fantasy plugins that they have in the studio, the session is unopenable anywhere else for me. I will be stuck. And I actually did something kind of hitry. I put a plugin that they don't have. So, I mean, I didn't do this like on purpose, like, that's my master plan. But now there is this factor, which is like, they will never be able to open this session if I'm not there. Which they need my iLock. They need my iLock for that. And actually, yesterday I was having a little bit of a fight with the sound director. He was like, yeah, you can leave me the iLock here for a week. I was like, no, I'm not going to leave you my iLock. Are you crazy? So, okay. Let's go. Here, Grisha is asking a question. What's up with these plugins from Isotope? So, plugins. So let's see. I have here Neutron, and I'm going to open this thing, and I'm going to ask you, what's this? I have mentioned it in class, so maybe you already heard me saying it. Let me keep it on the demo for now. I don't have my iLock with me. So what is this? Look at this. If I click here, there is a whole bunch of processes. How can we call this thing? Channel strip. Yes, it's a channel strip. Yeah, sorry, I was obviously joking there. I mean, but in the sense that you see channel strips can look like this too. It's like anything that is a whole bunch of plugins together, usually is a channel strip. So Why I like this guy a lot? I like this guy a lot because the visualization of the compressor of Ableton is one of the best ones I have seen, and this has the same visualization. Like, you see, I mentioned this to you already. It shows the knee like a region here. So when I change the knee, you see, like when I change the knee, because remember that the knee is like the threshold. Do you remember what the knee is? It's okay if you tell me no. You don't remember what the knee is? Murat, do you remember? Yeah? Let's wait for the other guys to see a bit. Like compressor. The compressor. Yeah. No worries. Look. Kind of. It's a way to see it. I want to. Yep. Yeah. I'll show you something that is going to help you. Wait, Grisha, do you know what the knee is?
I just, yeah, I kind of do. I'm not sure I can explain though.
You can't explain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask you a first question because
Yes.
I might
I'm gonna talk more. I'm gonna talk more about these plugins in a second. Carry on. Tell me.
No. It's another question. It's like you didn't share this plugin list with the third.
I put it in the starosti, no?
Yeah, you did put it, but we do not have the access. It's just you can do it later, but
it's like locked.
Yeah, it's
people.
Locked.
Well, let me just quickly change this right now. So anyone with the link, there you go. Fixed. That was fast. Okay, so now check this out. Let's discuss. Look, in our presentations there, I have this thing there called like lecture. I don't know, because I didn't want to drop you another basic lecture on compressors. I was like, that's why I did what I did yesterday. I just wanted to see, like, before I went, like, what is threshold? What is ratio? I thought, like, okay, let's test the ground, because I just don't want eye rolls, which I would deserve if I. But anyways, I do have this mega presentation of compressors that we sort of saw last year when you were in foundation, and then I improved it, and there is a lot of new stuff here. So you can consider that this is a guide that you can always come and check it out in our Papka, okay? Now, check this out. To understand the knee, the best way to see it is like this. Imagine that the threshold becomes an area, that the threshold is not a line. So what is the meaning of that? Okay, imagine that I'm an audio signal and that the threshold is the wall, and that the ratio is 10:1. So if I will cross that wall, what would happen to me? Let's say that I will cross. Let's look at the threshold. Let's look at the ratio. Think about the ratio for a moment. Forget about decibels as decibels and think about centimeters for a moment. Imagine that I cross 10 meters after the wall. The wall was a threshold. The ratio is 10:1. What is going to happen to me? I'm going to be pushed back 9 centimeters. So only 1 centimeter will remain. You see what I mean? Okay. The knee works like this. Imagine that. Okay. Sorry, I'm going to change my metaphor a little bit. Imagine that, and this is when I was compressing Grisha's head all the time. So imagine that my head is 10 centimeters of diameter. Okay? And so when I cross this line, my head will be 1 centimeter of diameter, but my body will remain in the same size. So for you to understand the knee. So remember, right now the knee is in 0. I cross a wall, and I cross a wall, and my head, which was 10 centimeters, became 1. That's all clear for everybody. For you to understand the knee, it works like this. I start getting close to the wall, and my head starts shrinking before I even arrive to the wall. So you can see it as a pre-threshold. Now, the kick is the following. The trick is the following. If the full compression was 10:1, the ratio, like there will be a slope of how fast that compression will be applied. So imagine I'm here and my head was 10 centimeters wide, and I moved a little bit and my head only reduced 0.5. But if I move more, my head is already now at 3 centimeters smaller. And after this, only after that, the full ratio will be applied. All compressors are different because of that. It's like, you see, I'm 1 meter away from the wall And how much my head will shrink? X. Well, in another compressor, it will be 2x. That's why compressors are different. And so, and that's what's called the slopes. You know, like how fast they react, how fast they apply the ratio, how fast they apply the ratio, and how fast. For example, there is another question. Imagine, now that this metaphor of my head is really powerful, and Grisha, you see, I'm not using your head this time. So we have evolved. We are in a better situation. So you see, think about this for a moment. It's like, let's say that we have Slava compressor and Slava comp, S comp, we can call it S comp. Like, imagine, S comp has a release. I'm going to use fictional numbers so we can understand better. S comp has a release of 1 second. So it means that my head was shrunk from 10 to 1, and then it takes 1 second to come back. Now, what happens in that second? In Slava comp, it will be different than in Nastya comp. Like, because in Slava comp, the release of the ratio, maybe it's linear. It's like for every fraction of a second, the same amount of signal is put back. But maybe in Nastya comp, it's not linear. It's like, no, look, the first 3 microseconds, half of the ratio is already recovered, and then the remaining 7 microseconds, it's the other half. You see? So the slopes of the compressors are going to be different. That's why they are different, and that's why they produce different effects. So, okay, that's cool. So back to this, we made a pause about the Caliena. And guys, it took me, like, I mastered, and I don't even believe I mastered these concepts yet. Like, and it's because I'm a bit stupid about this. It's not because this is like so complex. It's just like, I can get some other things easier. I just want you to not feel sad or shy that you don't get these concepts, even though you already heard these commentaries. It takes a while. It's very abstract things. Like, our brains don't think like that, and we're asking our brains a lot. And I mean, I understood the knee like 100% what the knee means, like kind of 3 years ago, something like that. It was a moment, and I was already working for many years, so it's normal that you don't remember this, that you forget. It's all super normal. Like, that's why we're here. So in this case of this guy, the reason why I love it is because it helps me to save time. So it has like a artificial intelligence thing that is listening to the signal. And then, wait, the reason why I don't have a signal here is because, is this clip? Okay, I see. I removed the clip. Clip, come back. Come back, clip. It was there? I lost it? Yeah, whatever. Let's just bring another one. It's okay. So let me just go here and grab a clip. And just drop this guy there. And go here and then go here and load the neutron. So this thing has a thing that I find quite useful, and I use it a lot. So I just go here and I load the track assistant, and I tell him, like, look, these are drums. Wait, sorry. Drums, percussion, drums. These are drums, and I want them to be in your face. Go. And so he's going to analyze the audio, and then he's going to propose you some processing. And then we will analyze what he's doing. And so if I switch it off, and so what he's doing, he has a tool called Sculptor. I will talk about the Sculptor last. He has an equalizer. He has an exciter. An exciter, do you remember when I showed you, like, look at what happens when I run 1 kilohertz through a tape machine? No? Don't remember this? No worries. Let's just go here. And what's the signal generator called here? Is signal generator in Ableton? No, it's the operator, right? Yeah. So, thank you. Yeah, I have demonstrated this, but it's no problem to demonstrate it again. Wait, so let me write oxide tape, it will work. Yeah, about getting more frequencies there. I'm just telling you what an exciter does. So I'm gonna load here the EQ8. Yeah, and just load this thing and like, wait, if I switch off the oxide tape, like what do you have? You have one frequency there. And if I switch on the tape, now you start getting some new frequencies that were not there before. And that's what tape machines do. These things that you're hearing are those extra frequencies that are getting added there. And that is because of imperfections of the process of tape recording. It's just a fishka, like, and so I'm telling you that just so you know. Whenever you see the word exciter, like that's exactly what's going on there. It's like it's adding harmonics that were not there before, and how it's doing it. It's like, you see, like what I showed you there, it was like I had 1 kilohertz, whatever, and then it produced like 3, 5. So you see, it's like 3x, 5x, 7x of the fundamental. Do you feel that? Liana, do you feel it? I have this face of like, kind of. If I grab 1 kilohertz and I try to record it on a tape, that radiation, literal is radiation, that radiation of magnetic energy into the tape, it will energize. Can you feel what I mean when I say energize? It will energize 1 kilohertz, but it would accidentally also energize 3 kilohertz. It's a fishka. And so you see that number 1 and 3 matters. It's like, it was like 3x, the frequency I put in, and it doesn't only stops in 3x. It also happens 5x, 7x. That's the character of Leo tape. But Liana tape, it does as 5x, 10x, 20x. It's a bit different than Leo tape. Why? Because Liana used some silver that was mined in one of the moons of Mars. But Leo tape was done with Venezuelan silver. And the alloy of Venezuelan silver is less pure than the silver from Mars. And so your tape boosts other frequencies than mine. So when you see something look like warm, retro, tape, tube, like what that means is like, in the case of tape, it's like 3x, 5x, 7x, 10x. In the case of warm, it's like 4x. It's a little bit different. Different multipliers. That's exactly the word. Different multipliers from the fundamental. And then if they would put there something like 7x, 3x, 4x, 5x, you will not have an idea of what that means. But they just put you like retro, warm, tape. It's just so you kind of like have a human interface with this thing and can imagine what the hell is going on there. So, and then it has a couple of compressors here. Now notice, well, they're both now. He made this choice. This system made this choice. And to be honest, well, no, it's okay. I thought let's have a look at something and see if you can pay attention to something here that, I mean, if you can extract some information here that I hope it happens. I'm going to load another clip. I'm trying to see something there. Wait. I'm going to load this clip, okay? And I'm going to load there another neutron again. Plugins. Neutron. I'm going to load another neutron into this track. Wait, I want it to be in this track. Yep, okay. Bad idea. Wait a second. Let's put this guy there, and I think I need to load this clip again. I think I need to load this clip again. I think I need to load this clip again. I think I need to load this clip again. I think I need to load this clip again. I think I need to neutral clip again. I think I need to neutral clip again. I think I need to neutral clip again. Loop of spiral 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 loop of. Sorry to cut your vibe there. I just totally cut your vibe. Okay, so I'm gonna load the neutron there, and I'm gonna tell the system or it or her, whatever the computer is. I'm gonna tell the system to work out these frequencies. Let's see what he does. Well, we don't need to hear. Like, I think it's because it's, yeah, it was cool. Nice robot. Let's see what he does, or she, or it. I'm curious about this. I I categorically disagree with something the system did. Can you figure out what that is? Stupid robot. It's a very tricky question. I don't expect an answer easy to come out. And I won't bet my Bitcoins this time, Bratan. I will never do that again. Like, that was fucking... I owe you some Bitcoin. I owe coins to Murat, to Sebastian, and to you. I don't forget about this. No worries. I don't forget. We will sort it out.
Is it? Do you think that that it doesn't need 2 compressors?
No, it could be that two compressors are useful there. That's not what I disagree. It's very obvious and not obvious at the same time. And it's one of the things I wanted to... He caught the peaks. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And that's not exactly where I wanted to go, but that's a good point. He's telling us, like, look, this robot is cutting the peaks of this low-end thing. But my disagreement with it is, like, when you compress something of the low end, think about it. Do you know what this is here? It's like... RMS is it's like sorry, Romania music school. No, it doesn't. It's not that one. No. So or like I wanted to find a Russian city with R, but I cannot think about it right now. Resign Moscow Music School. Короче, RMS will be telling the detector, please focus on RMS signals, not on peak signals. And a base signal has very little peak component, has more an RMS component. So I disagree with that decision right away, which leads us to our next point of conversation. Okay, Grisha, closing the question about these plugins. I love them. I use them a lot. If I recommend them, the Isotope Ozone is amazing. The Relay, all of them are great. I really recommend it. The Neutron, the Nectar is really great. The Nectar, Grisha was asking about the Nectar mostly, and I showed Neutron. It's almost the same thing. So if I open Nectar, I will explain you the difference in a second. If I open Nectar and we see it, so what is this? Yeah, it's for the vocals, but how can we call this thing?
A channel strip.
A channel strip. Bravo! Right. Yeah, it's another channel strip, literally. It's just like it's a channel strip designed for vocals. So what do we have there? We have a pitch, so we can do tuning correction. We have an EQ. We have a compressor. We have a delay, like a shifter, gate, harmony, etc. So that's great. I mean, every time you see now something like this, you know it's a channel strip, and you know that there is a good positive reason to use this, which is that it will help you to achieve phase coherence between processes. What do I mean by this? Imagine that you put an EQ, a compressor, exciter, you put 5 different plugins of 5 different brands. Maybe the plugin A will produce a result that is out of phase with plugin B. It can happen, depending on the manufacturer. And like when I mean out of phase, I mean very slightly. I don't mean like totally out of phase. These guys, the precol, the reason of them existing is that because you do all the processing in one place, there is less possibilities that there will be phase cancellations. It's more phase coherent. That's the way to call it. So yeah, I use those plugins a lot. Okay, so I wanted you guys to do an exercise. The lecture is becoming late, and most likely I will leave you this as a homework to take for home, but I will demonstrate something now that is really important and extremely important, and please give me all your attention if you can, if it's possible. Because this is really, really important, and I'm telling you, don't be a fool like me and don't wait so long. Don't wait so long to start using this. Start using this now, all the time. It's kind of like you can't compress if you're not going to do this. So let me, by the way, let me download some overheads. Where is this? I want to do this quickly, and the fastest way is like this, I want this thing that I want you to do, and maybe, I don't know, do it today, like right away. Just get rid of this right now. Maybe it's a suggestion. I'm gonna go here to our mixing and mastering things, and I'm just gonna download some overheads. You know, a very good case for this is the band called Maquette. It's a really good case for what we're gonna do now. Maquette. Look, imagine that I download overhead left and right. Wait. Select these two guys. Can I? Oh, no, individually. Okay, no problem. Just give me my file. That's all I want is my file. So I got the file, and let's drop it here. Yeah, and so he's not splitting in stereo. Okay, so I have their left and right, and let's group them here and put one on the left and one on the right. Oh, wait, nope, that's not what I want. One on the left and one on the right. So, look, check this out, guys. This we will explore it in depth next year for the engineers, very deeply. We will explore this. But in order for you to decide to compress something, I was telling this to you yesterday, remember? In order for you to decide to compress something, the best way to start this task is in the following way. Let's say that you hear a song and you make your static fader balance. Remember what that means? Yeah, like, I mean, put the faders in and you listen. And then you hear the whole thing with attention, not looking at Instagram, not looking at Reddit, not looking at ChatGPT or whatever, just like pay attention to what's going on and you hear it. And then you conclude, like, I heard the whole song, but there was a part in the song when the acoustic guitar was not so clearly audible. I want to automate that part. That's a candidate for compression. I want to automate the acoustic guitars because in a point of the song, they disappear. That's a candidate of compression. You don't have to compress everything. Like, you have to compress things that you feel that you need to be automating. That if you don't automate them, they will not be heard across the whole song. That's what compressors are for. It's like, you see, acoustic guitar, the performance was like in the couplet, the guy's girlfriend was in the room, the guitarist's girlfriend was in the room, and so he was distracted when he was recording all the couplets because the girlfriend is very needy, and she was like, can you bring me some water? And so he was like bringing her water, they're going to play again, then he had to, and then the girlfriend left, and he was like more focused on the session, and then he started ramming that acoustic guitar. And then I have an acoustic guitar performance that is inconsistent. It's like he played on the choruses with more energy because his girlfriend was on there, whatever you want to say. And so that's a candidate for compressor. Now, this is a very obvious case because I'm talking to you about acoustic guitar versus everything else. And so you can establish a relationship with acoustic guitar and everything else. And you can think, I want to compress acoustic guitar. Now, when I press play to these tracks, I cannot change the level of the cymbals because it's just already recorded. They're not separate. Now, look, when you hear here, so what I would like you to pay attention right now is about the fact that you're going to hear this, and along the performance of this overhead track, there will be parts of the drum kit that will stand out more than others. And that's maybe undesired, and that's a candidate for compression. Because you're hearing the whole thing and you're like, what's up with these drums? Like, when I'm in the couplet, everything is fine, but then the prepiev comes and the hi-hat is so loud that I'm starting to have a problem. So that means that you don't have a static situation anymore and you need to fix something. So let's see. By the way, this was recorded by Anton Berendiakin in Studio B. But it was a super cheap recording. Like, I mean, the guys paid like for 2 hours or something. It was really stupid. So look at that. When I'm here, the hi-hat is quite loud. And I don't know, to my taste, that belly of the cymbals, it's too loud too. Look at it, like. So, wouldn't it be nice if there is a device that can make only that thing quieter? There is, and that's a compressor. And so, what can I do? What can I do here? What's something that I can do? And this is what I really care to discuss with you today. I'm going to grab this guy and I'm going to use this compressor for that task. But I will fail on purpose because that's what I want to show you. And then I will show you how to avoid failing in that sense. Sorry, so let me load this here. So what should I do? Well, I need to start engaging the compressor. Now, you see, the snare starts triggering the gain reduction, and then the whole thing starts sounding weird. Well, one of the things I can do there is to explore this thing and to use it, I don't know, like... Still, there is compression, a lot of compression when the snare happens. And remember, my goal was to work with those cymbals, not with the snare. Remember? And so I'm not getting to my goal. This is what I wanted yesterday to start with you. It's like, I have a goal. I need to have a goal. What's my goal? My goal is to work on those cymbals. So let's see. Let's put an equalizer there 1 second and check out something. In which frequencies are those cymbals located? Let's see. It's kind of like around 400 hertz. Now, let's also identify where the snare is, where the fundamental of the snare is. Most likely, this is the fundamental of the snares. Okay, let's try to identify a frequency in which the snare is more prominent than the cymbals. Let's look at these frequencies with care. I'm just going to boost this a little bit without listening. Like, wait, pam, that's a snare. So look at this. Like, this is a snare. Let me just turn this down again, and be sure. Oh shit. Look, there's kick, look at here, kick here, and snare here. And look, this belly here, these are the overhead, these cymbals. Look at this. Look at the snare here, like tung, 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 and here is that belly. So that belly is around, we were saying 400 hertz, something like that. Yeah, 400 hertz. So this is what I want you to get focused on. If I open this guy here, now I have a way to tell the detector, don't listen certain frequencies, so don't get activated under certain frequencies. And there is no way that you can compress without using this guy. And I'm 99% sure that none of you have ever used it even. Or maybe you have used it a little bit. Or maybe you don't see it as something that you have to do it all the time. And that was my main purpose, well, together with the other things we discussed with this lecture. So now this is this is called a sidechain. And I mean, and the sidechain can be from another track. Oh, sorry, no, I'm stupidly, critically stupid. I'm talking about the equalizer, sorry. But really, some plugins call it the sidechain as well. I'm really not kidding about it. But in this case, it's like that. And so I can do this. Okay. I'm going to tell the detector, ignore these frequencies. And so I'm going to grab. Look at how the compression changed already. Like, the snare is not triggering the compressor anymore so much. You can see it here, look. Look at the difference, like. Look at it, and don't even hear it. Look at it here in the screen. Look at this yellow thing. Now, what's happening there? The attack of the snare is not triggering the compressor anymore. So I can focus the compressor in another area of the spectrum. I can tell to the compressor, focus in 400 hertz. How would I do that? Look, I selected here the range. I selected a type of filter, which is a band pass, so I'm cutting everything that is out of there. I'm cutting that before the detector. That will not change how the sound sounds. It will change what the detector is looking at. And so I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to tell to this guy, please stand on 400 hertz, because that was my area of focus. And this is your cue, like how wide you are going to be. And now I can pull the threshold down and compress more. My goal would be that you hear that the cymbals become quieter, but the snare doesn't. That would be my goal. But for that, you see, if the compressor, the attack is way faster than the cymbals. The attack of the snare is way faster than the cymbals. So I will need to think about the attack a little bit there. Like, remember, my goal is to compress the cymbals and not the snare. So the snare happens, and it would be nice if the compressor starts working after the snare happens. So how can I do that? I want that the snare hit happens and that the compressor starts working after the snare hit happened. How would I do that? Correct. Have a slower attack. Yeah, because the snare will happen and then the compressor will be like, ah, wait, and then the compressor will start acting, right? So if I grab the attack and I make it slower, look at it. Remember how it was before. And notice how the snare, now it's louder. Let's see. Now, I mean, not when the compressor is on, the snare is louder than in the previous compression setting. That's what I mean. I don't mean like in comparison. I'm going to increase the ratio. And look, accidentally here, I'm in 600 hertz, so I'm going to move it to 400. Do you feel that the cymbals are changing? The cymbals are changing less than the snare. Am I correct? Or let's hear it again. Nice. Now, okay, so I'm focusing the detector on doing something. Let me download a kick. And make it even more obvious. Let me download a kick here.
So you usually compress overheads?
Tell me. Sorry.
So you usually compress overheads?
No, not always. Actually, not at all. I don't like to compress overhead so much. I usually compress them if I have a problem to fix. But nowadays, I only put one plugin in the overheads that is called Kramer. It's an EQ, and that's all. But I don't compress them so much. Sometimes I do, but it's not like my main thing. Okay, let's have a look at this kick. 1 second. And look at this case of the detector. Let's look at the case of the detector here. And here it will be, by the way, I know that this is not news, but kind of okay that we discussed this today. Did you knew this before? Well, like, you had an idea, but we never discussed it. I just never like to be repetitive, because imagine the challenge I have. I have to talk to you for 3 years. It's like, and I have to be, it's kind of like, it has to be always entertaining. It's like a TV show kind of thing, like in some way. So I'm always focused on that not happening. Okay, so if I open my compressor here, let's do that before. Again, I'm sorry we didn't did the exercise. Just we got into another track, and that's okay. We will do the exercise as well. I will put it for you. Now, with the kick, it would be more obvious. Now, look, I have here a very good case. Like, imagine that I want to compress only the beater of the compressor, of the kick. The kick has a belly, like, poof, 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 and the kick has also like an attack component. And so I can tell to the detector, like, please focus on 2K. And so right now, there is nothing being compressed, and I can just be more aggressive there and apply compression only when, not when the boominess of the kick is happening, but when the beater only is happening. Because I told to the detector, forget about everything else. Listen to 2K only. And I can make it super uska, you know. So imagine that my goal was to change the envelope of that so we feel more the beater and less the body of the kick. I just achieved it. I hear more the attack, and I hear less of the belly of the kick. Now, if I switch off the detector, look at what the result of the compressor is. That's what happens, because what's happening there is that, let's try to make a metaphor there. I have my metaphor here. I have my metaphor here. So we were talking about this, me getting closer to the wall and my head shrinking. Imagine that I open a hole in the wall, and then I cannot put my body in, but I have to put my head in alone. And then it means that, because, okay, to make this metaphor more complete, imagine that my height is 1.85 m, or my 1.90 m. That's kind of my height. It's 1.90 m. And the compressor will consider all my height. And depending on all my height, it will decide how much it will shrink the size of my head. Because it's like, hey, you're 1.90 m, I'm going to shrink your head 10 centimeters. But can we make it in a way that for the compressor, I don't look like I'm 1.90 m, but I look more like I'm 1 meter? So, and then the compressor will shrink my head less. Because even though I'm 1.90 m, the compressor will look at me as a person who is 1 meter, and it will compress less. And what would be the effect of that? That some part of the spectrum will remain untouched. No, that's not exactly correct, but that's a good way to see it. And what is a metaphor? Well, imagine that if I go through this as a 1.90 m person, my head will shrink 10 centimeters. But you open a hole at 1 meter. And so I put my head in that hole, and then the system thinks, Leo is 1 meter. I'm only going to apply compression to that meter. So that's what's going on there. And that's why it's so different. Like when the detector is off, the low end of the compressor, which is the low end, of the audio file, which is more prominent, it's activating the compressor. And this is affecting the whole signal. And so that's why I get a bit nervous when people go to multiband compressors without even understanding this, because this is kind of like, the multiband compressor is not something that you use just lightly, like, just a multiband compressor. It's first, you see, like I can achieve compression, and I can achieve compression that is focused on a certain part of the spectrum with a single compression, like with a simple compressor, with a one-band compressor. So the more you have goals, the more you will be using these tools in a more appropriate way. What's up here? What's the question? Online?
So it actually affects the parts of the signal that you compress? Because I thought that it makes your compressor trigger differently, right?
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying.
It compresses everything though, right?
Yes. That's why I was saying, like, even though I'm 1.90 m, the compressor will think that I'm 1 meter. And it will act as if I am 1 meter, but I am 1.90 m. So what I'm trying to say with that is, I'm saying maybe in the worst words of what you just said exactly. Like, I mean, all the signal will be affected, but the relevant parts of the signal that I want will be the ones that will trigger the compressor. And so, because of that, the results will be less harsh. Yeah?
Yep.
Did I say it right? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so I think that's it for today, right? It's until 2, our lecture. Am I right? Or is it 2:30? Am I crazy? It's until 2. Till 2. Okay. So, all right, we will take a little break, and I really needed that break. And when we come back, I'll have a lot more energies to share with you, and we will do a little bit of exercise. And when we come back, we'll go back to some more theoretical, and we will stop doing so much practical lectures. I think I'm going to put you a little assignment connected to this, like a detector of the compressor, thing. So you do it on the May holidays, and then you send it to me, okay? Thank you, friends. Have a good day. Thanks. Have a good day. I'm going to go home and help my